So in this video I'm going to show you how to lift your roots with the different little technique that I haven't explained before. I've talked about how I keep my hair blonde and how I used a 9N level for doing my roots in order to lift it up and then do the highlight. And I've started doing something a little bit different and started using a high lift, which brightens up quite a bit more and preps it for that highlight. So that's what I'm doing today, and I'll just show you that I've used a high lift level 12N. So the N is enough neutral like ash tones to deposit in the hair in order to make it not brassy. So we're doing that. And a high lift is what a high lift is you mix it with 2 parts developer and 1 part color, and it has to be a pretty high developer, so either 30 volume or 40 volume. So that's what I used. I used this Chi Ionic 12N for high lift, and so normally you can even highlight with this because it does lift much more than a color would, but it's still stabilized and a much more balanced color than bleach, because bleach, all it does is strip the hair of color, so it's kind of left with all your natural undertones, which tend to be pretty brassy if you lift more than 1 or 2 levels. So what this does is this gives you lift of 4 to 5 levels, and yet still leaving it a perfect tone once you shampoo. So no really need for toning or anything like that. And so just let's get started. So starting in the front. Grabbing the next section. And make sure not to get too thick of a section, because you want to make sure that all hair gets saturated well and enough product so you don't have any missing spots that don't get lifted. I'd say 1/4 of an inch sections, or if your hair is pretty thick, about 1/2 inch if you have really thin hair. But I still like to do as thin as possible, just to ensure perfect coverage. And with high lift color, because it's so concentrated undertones, like the blues or the purples or whatever you're trying to cancel out, you don't want to overlap hair that's already blonde or already pretty light. If you do that, that hair will look purple or blue because it doesn't have any more, leeway to lift. I mean, it's already light, so all it does is deposit those undertones that's in that color. So you don't want that. So just remember not to overlap. And also, because you're using such high developer, you're just making the hair more susceptible to breakage, which is definitely not needed. So. So when you've done all the sections in the front, just to ensure that, obviously around the face, which is what everyone sees, just to make sure that it is completely saturated and you don't have any lines, I'm going to come in and just apply directly like this. And make it as flat as possible, because sometimes the little hairs that, just kind of flyaways and kind of sprout out, then they don't lay on the color, so they don't develop as well as the others. So make sure that everything's kind of patted down and making sure that that's all saturated. So that's what I used on my roots today. And so I just mixed 1 part color, 2 parts developer, and that preps the hair for a highlight. That's just the little trick that I've been doing lately on my hair, which I think makes it easier. And I've had a lot of questions about saying like, oh, I want your blonde hair color, and I've made a video on that, but I still get asked a lot that they are a level 5 or a level 6, which is pretty dark brown hair, and they want to, you know, lift to the color like that I have, and they're using like 20 volume developer, and I typically don't recommend using anything higher or using bleach on yourself because that can be a little tricky. So I think this is more of a foolproof way because you're not left with that brassiness. So that's what I just wanted to share, the new little trick that I'm using on myself. So hopefully it makes it a lot easier for you guys. You could use a 12 ash. I used a 12N. I think that was enough for me. So anyway, this is the result. So after I've applied, I let it process for about 15 minutes and then shampooed and conditioned, and this is the result. So, I mean, even this is okay for my in-between. I'm not going to get highlighted yet. In about 2 to 3 weeks, I will do this process again, and then after I shampoo the color out, I will get the highlight. So I kind of like a softer root in the middle. Like, I don't want to be highlighting necessarily every 3 weeks or so. So anyway, so that's just my little update on my hair routine. I hope you enjoyed, hope it was easy to follow, and I hope you try it. Alright, thank you. See you in the next video. Bye.